Hi, everyone. It's Liza from Gatehouse Admissions, and today I'm here with a stellar consultant from our team, Lynn Moloney. I have known Lynn for years, and I am delighted to now give you a chance to get to know her. So, Lynn, let's go ahead and jump in. So, you've been a managing editor in magazine publishing. So, what's a skill that you take from your managing editor days that carry over to admissions consulting? And I guess what's something different about admissions consulting versus editing?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think it's not really a skill, but just in a general sense, what I love about journalism is just being surrounded by brilliant, curious, passionate people who really want to understand the world and what makes it tick and are just constantly engaged with the world around them. And I think that pretty much sums up the applicants to top business school. So I do feel like it's very similar to get to work with these amazing people who have done amazing things. And I think in terms of like transferable skills, both sort of understanding the story, like in a bigger sense, sort of the editing skills, I guess they are, like what makes this situation interesting, what makes this person tick, like getting all that sort of story generation, idea generation up front, right down to like sort of the final proofs of the line editing and making sure that each word is correct and sort of making sure that everything looks just as it would going magazine ready. So that's another skill. And I would also say sort of just the career mentorship as a managing editor, I always tried to understand what motivated each member of my staff, how they worked, and also sort of where they wanted to go with their careers and what skills they needed to get there. And then trying to figure out, how they can build those skills. So I think that's also part of the exploration I do with my clients.
That's great. I love your definition on how to think about journalism and who you were surrounded by. That's super inspiring, and glad you're finding it here with consulting as well. Okay, next question. Favorite essay prompt, past or present, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. So I think my answer is actually going to be the one that most people would say is their least favorite, actually, both clients and consultants. But I really love What Matters Most from Stanford. I just love what it reveals about my clients, and I love the whole process of getting there. It's a tough essay. It is really hard, and it often takes several first drafts, sort of starting over. But I think the process of really digging deep and figuring that out, both for my clients and for me, like we just get to know each other so much better. I just feel like there's a sense of discovery on both parts, and I just think it sets up the reflection process. For that reason, I really love to start with it if I can, because I feel like I get to know my clients so well through that essay, and it also is like it's the hardest one. You really have to reflect on your entire life and sort of what drives you. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite.
That's awesome. So what do you think is most essential to establishing an effective relationship with your clients?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think, in the beginning, I really try to get to know my clients very well. And our experience inventory, that huge initial intake of experiences and sort of life's experiences and drivers and all those things, I really take that very seriously. And my clients spend a ton of time filling it out. So I actually spend a lot of time with that document. I do a really deep dive, and my conversations always run to 2 hours. I know like 1.5 is the sort of standard, but I would say I never do under 2 hours because I really think it's just so wonderful to get that initial first impression and first kind of reveal. And I return to that again and again. And I think the process of discussing the EI actually really does a lot to establish the relationship and the trust between me and my clients. I try to bring absolutely no judgment to my interactions with them. As I'm getting to know them, sure, I might have opinions, but they're really not relevant. What's relevant is sort of what drives my clients and what got them to where they are. So, of course, if I see something that I think is not going to play well with the AdCom, I will put on my AdCom hat and say, here's the way that's going to play, or here's why it's not a good idea to, go all in on that. I'm very honest in that way, which I also think builds some trust and establishes the relationship. That although I'm super in their court and their cheerleader, like I also can step back and say, even though you and I might love this, it's not going to translate well on the page of your application.
It's great. I love that you're able to strike that balance between really what you said about not bringing any judgment when you're reading it and being their cheerleader, but then also knowing when and how to put the hat of the AdCom on. It's super important. Okay, last question. Biggest piece of advice that you give to people who are thinking about applying?
Ooh, gosh, so many pieces of advice. Well, I think I'll go with school selection. And I say this knowing that 99% of the people are just going to ignore it. But for the 1% that will take it to heart, my advice is to really get to know the schools before you decide that you're going to apply there. HBS is not for everybody. I went to HBS. I can say that. Like, it's certainly not the best fit for everybody, nor is Stanford GSB. And I think in some ways, those two schools are the complete opposites of one another in terms of location and size and approach to curriculum and pedagogy. Like, it's just, they're two totally different places. And yet so many people come in and say, I want to go to Harvard or Stanford. And I would just say, like, understand what you need out of a program, understand where you thrive. HBS, you will be told that entire first year where to sit, what professor you're going to have, what classmates you're going to have in your section, what study group you're going to have. It is very hard for very accomplished people to then go back to being told exactly what they're going to do. In HBS, the GSB, and conversely, there's not a lot of structure, and some people really want that out of a business school. So I would just say, do your research, talk to alumni, talk to other students that are there, try to figure out, what your experience there might look like before you go all in on, I have to go to this school. I would say that when clients come to me and say, you know what, I'm not applying to HBS, it's not for me, I am thrilled because I feel like they took the time to get to know the school. They know themselves very well. And the process of reflection that we do throughout the business school journey, it's just going to be that much deeper and better for it. So.
Great. Well, everyone, you heard it here. And hopefully we'll take Lynn's advice in stride. Lynn, thank you so much for being here today. And to all of you watching, definitely reach out to Gatehouse if you'd like to talk to Lynn or any of us. As you can tell, we love what we do and we love working with all of you. Thanks.